Going into his rematch with Islam Makhachev at UFC 311, Arman Tsarukyan seemed to be in the zone. That rare moment in time for a fighter where he's in his physical prime, his confidence is at an all-time high, and he's riding the momentum of all the victories he captured to get there. On top of that, the fight was taking place in Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California, less than 30 minutes away from Glendale. Also known as Little Armenia, which is the second best place for an Armenian fighter to fight outside of the actual country of Armenia.
Yeah, that fight gonna be my second home. It's Los Angeles because a lot of Armenian people there. I'm so excited. People so excited to watch that fight, and I'm gonna train very hard to get the belt and to be the first Armenian champion in the world.
If there was ever a perfect moment for Arman to capture a title, this was definitely it, and the fans were excited. After all, his first fight against Islam and his debut was a lot closer than anyone thought it'd be. And he was only 22 back then, a rookie, whereas now he was a fully realized fighter with tons of experience. And being that one of the most exciting things in mixed martial arts and combat sports in general is seeing an extremely dominant champion finally meet somebody that could realistically beat them, this was shaping up to be a fight for the ages, and fans of both Islam and Arman were excited and anxious to see how it would play out. And Arman talking about a special move never before seen in mixed martial arts that him and his coaches have worked out specifically for the fight, intended to capture a performance of the night bonus, just added to the intrigue.
So it's gonna be a surprise in January 18. I wanna get bonus. That's why I'm doing that secret technique.
But nobody would have ever predicted that the special move would end up being pulling out of the fight the day of the weigh-ins.
Around 1 a.m. we received a call from Arman Tsarukyan, who informed us that he was experiencing significant back pain due to the injury. He feels like he is not healthy enough to compete, so he is out of the fight. Stepping in to face Islam Makhachev for the title will be Renato Moicano. Moicano's been on a tear since moving up to 155 pounds and currently holds the longest active win streak amongst all fighters in the top 10 of the lightweight division.
The initial reaction was understandable disappointment. Sure, Renato "Money" Moicano was a great replacement, especially considering that he trained with Tsarukyan at American Top Team, but he was no Arman himself, and this was a wildly less challenging fight for Islam Makhachev. But still, people were supportive, wishing him a speedy recovery and wondering if Islam would be willing to face Tsarukyan in a quick turnaround if he were to beat Moicano, and if Tsarukyan's injury didn't require surgery. Because at this point, the extent of the injury was speculated to be quite brutal to cause such a late withdrawal, with even Islam and his team being empathetic.
Honestly, it can happen with anybody. If you guys remember 2017 March, it's happened with me too. I just want to wish him all the best. You know, he's young, he's tough, he can come back. He have to survive this situation and come back.
But after the event came and went and Islam predictably easily dispatched of Moicano, we got the first indication that the injury might not have been as bad as everyone thought in Dana White's post-fight media scrum.
He's going back to the drawing board. I don't want anybody to ever fight hurt, ever. You know, we've been in these positions before. Went down there with the doctor. Went down there with Heather from the PI, who is, you can ask any fighter or anybody else. She's the best in the world, and you know, you miss opportunities sometimes, and he did. So we'll see how this plays out for him next year.
You feel like he could have competed? You feel like he could have competed tonight?
I have no idea. I don't know that. Only he knows that.
Not only did Dana seem annoyed about the whole thing, his claim that Tsarukyan was going to have to work his way back up seemed like a punishment, as well as a confirmation that the UFC did not view this injury as a legitimate reason to pull out of the fight. And when Arman reappeared in the public eye the following day, his explanation didn't help.
When I started my weight cut, I was doing bike, and like that moment my back like stuck, you know, and I couldn't move. I just lay down on the hot tub. It was crazy pain. I couldn't do cardio, and then UFC doctors came and started to help me do some PT, and they said, you're gonna be all right in the morning. If you're gonna feel the same, you can continue cut your weight. So, and I was like 6 pounds left when I went to sleep, and the pain was same, and like 5 a.m. I just said my manager, it's the same pain. I couldn't move. My lower back stuck, and it's just I cannot continue. So
apparently, the brutal back injury was a pulled muscle, which the UFC doctor did not seem to be overly concerned with. He was given the green light to fight, and the decision to pull out was made of his own volition. And while a pulled muscle can be very painful, especially in your back, contrasted against the fact that Umar Nurmagomedov might have fought on the same card with a fractured hand and Murad Valishvili was being held together by glue and popsicle sticks.
I break my back during the training camp, and it was some days I cannot get up from the bed, and I was laid down, and I don't have a training camp, and I don't have a Khabib Nurmagomedov to help me to training, and I'm not making this excuse. You're a fucking fighter, and you gotta find a way to win, or whatever. It may happen, maybe, I don't know.
It made it look like this was something that Arman could have ultimately worked through, especially considering the fact that he seemed to be completely fine while out and about doing interviews the day after the fights. And just like that, people turned on him and began to mock his routine leading up to the fight, specifically pointing to the vlog that he did with Nina Drama where he was doing complicated stretches involving his back.
And then you just go. Try.
I need to pray for peace. 1 second.
Your turn.
Yeah, I heard you, okay? You can't just rush into these things.
You gotta do warm up with your neck, or you came already warm.
No.
Going as far as to say that he threw it out while trying to impress her, which actually ended with Nina Drama receiving death threats.
Just death threats from people thinking that it was because of me that Arman pulled out of the video for doing a standard wrestler's warm-up. To all of you, it's impossible to do, most likely. Trust me, impossible to do. So what you're looking at, you think, oh, this is gonna hurt him. No, he does this all the time. This is a wrestler's move. He did not get hurt in my training vlog.
What's more, Tsarukyan didn't offer Dana White any pushback, seemingly accepting that he had messed up in some way and had to work his way back into the title fight, which was an attitude that you would obviously not expect from a man that received a legitimate injury.
It seemed to me, based on watching it, that he was upset, that he was stopping short at implying that he thinks you could have fought. That's the way I read it. Did you feel the same way when you saw the clip of him talking about it?
yeah, I saw the same. He maybe like a doctor said maybe like he could fight. I don't know.
In fact, he even suggested that he face Charles Oliveira again in a 5-round fight because in their previous fight, a lot of fans said that if it lasted 2 more rounds, Charles could have won. And instead of giving Arman the effect that he was likely looking for, which was people to say that he was a warrior for wanting to get back in there so quickly, this inadvertent admission of guilt made them turn on him even more, with several additional theories now flying around, including that he couldn't make weight or possibly tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs.
When Tsarukyan calls at 1 in the morning and says, I can't go in, the question is not what's bothering you, stud. The question at 1 in the morning when that phone rings, the moment that that button was pushed for Dana to pick up the phone, what do you weigh right now?
And in his appearance on the Jackson podcast, likely intended to shift the narrative in a more positive direction, as hosts Rampage Jackson and Bear DeGilio seemed to awkwardly tiptoe around what people were actually saying.
I mean, I saw a lot of the fans and a lot of the MMA community come together and say, hey, we know you're a warrior, we know you're a tough guy. Obviously, if you had to pull out, it's for a big reason. I don't think you would pull out of one of the biggest fights of your life.
Oh, so they're on the side?
Yeah, I think a lot of people were supporting you. They were saying that they know that this dude's a dog. He's always in shape. He always is ready to fight.
Arman himself seemed to reach a point where his guard went down and he was accidentally a little more honest than he wanted to be.
I know fans have been behind you and saying good stuff, and even if they were saying bad shit, fuck them. They, you know what I'm saying? It's like, people don't understand. You know, it'll haunt you for the rest of your life if you go out there not close to 100% and you go out there injured, a title fight, and you know your back is injured and you go out there and lose.
Yeah.
Of course, 100%. Like everybody gonna forget about my back if I lose. Like they just said he lose the fight. So, but I don't wanna be like not 100% because I know I'm like just 28 years old and like I'm #1 ranked, #1 contender, and I know I'm gonna fight for the title a bunch of times.
It seems that the real reason for him pulling out wasn't that he couldn't fight physically, but that he put so much into this moment that he didn't want anything to be wrong with him when he stepped into the cage, as he wasn't confident that he could win at less than 100%, and he knew that the fans wouldn't let him use the pulled back as an excuse. But ultimately, pulling out because of it made the situation look even worse. Sure, he didn't lose, but maybe that would have been preferable to being known as the guy that over-exaggerated an injury because he psyched himself out. And at 28 years old, he's technically still young enough to bounce back, but he has to be perfect from here on out, because the lightweight division is a shark tank and anyone in the top 5 can have the night of their life at any given moment. So by going back to fighting for a #1 contender spot, he's risking losing and being sent back down the rankings. And fighting 20-something up-and-comers in your 30s hoping for another shot at the title is a much bigger nightmare than fighting through a severe back spasm. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like the video if you liked it, and if you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell next to it. And if you want to support the channel further, become a member by hitting join if you're on Android or desktop, or the link in the description if you're on iOS.
He said it without saying it because he knows he doesn't want to be that guy. He's not in there fighting. He doesn't know, the level of the injury. But when you have your head physical therapist, and Heather is a miracle worker, and she has fixed people up and gotten them in there when it didn't seem like they were going to. I gathered the same thing, that maybe he thought he was he could have sucked it up a little bit and went out there for such an opportunity. And he's gone on social media and even agreed with Dana, saying that he knows he's got to work his way back up. He knows, and I'm sure that something was even told to him, like, look, man, if you can't make it, you get pushed back a bit.